bass. Yeah. What? Come out. Come on. Just for a sec. Out here. Just for a sec. Right? Okay. Mr. Bassman. He had to put it down. Can you all see him? You're amazing. You are walking in what you're supposed to do, aren't you? I don't know, there's probably many other things that you do, and the girls are beautiful, but I can't stop watching you back there because I just feel like you are doing what you are called to do on this earth, and I'm telling you what, I'm being blessed by watching you play back there. Okay, you can go back in the boys' spot. Go. It's a girls' event. It's a girls' event. Okay, and I need Kirsten up here just for a sec. I'm calling you out. Kirsten, just for a sec. There are not many Kirstens in the world. And I have a twin Kirsten. Is she not like drop dead gorgeous? So I'm sitting at the table with Kirsten. We're talking about our spelling of our names. And I said, well, how old are you? And she said, 23. And I said, well, my son's 23, turning 24. I feel like I'm a Jewish mama. I've been with the Jewish programming too long. And I said, could you live in Jerusalem? And you're like, sure. And I'm like, done. And then I thought, like, do you, Ryan, my son, take Kirsten to be your lawfully wedded? Right, like, and every time we go, I love you so much, Kirsten. I think my face would come to mind, and I just don't know if it'd work, but I'm going to find someone for you. And maybe it would work. Maybe it would work. I love her. She's just gorgeous. I'm sorry. It could still work. He just would have to get my face out of his mind when he ever says your name. But it could be weird. But you're gorgeous. You could, like, the grandbabies would be beautiful. Speaking of, right? Is it not part of our job, mothers of boys, right? You got to have the beautiful ones. And I don't know if we're able to, I know I have wonderful people working up in media. Do you have those pictures at all? Ooh, I need to suck it in. My Spanx is not working well enough today. No? I don't know. And there were going to be some photos, and they might be coming still. Oh, not that one. No, not that one. You didn't see that. That one! Come on, right? It's like they're triplets. There's 3 of them. Oh, my gosh, she's beautiful. See, that's why breeding is very important. You need to find good looking when they match, because that's a well-bred baby. Oh, I get to see her Mother's Day. Okay, I'm back to this. I'm not even looking at notes because thank you for showing that up there. All right. Bella Rose. It's in the naming. The naming is important too. Thank you guys so much for. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I have to tell you, this afternoon you'll find out, and I just noticed it in that session, it's not just random songs. Like, God has been weaving himself through all of this with every song that's been sung. It's so good. And sang a line, I sang a line, we all sang a line, that said, do what you want to. And we are like, we're lifting our hands. We're like, do what you want to, consume me with fire. And I think sometimes God's going, really? Do what you want to, Lord. But not anything too unexpected. Do what you want. Consume me with fire, but not really hot fire, just like a little fire. I don't want to be totally consumed with fire. I grew up singing church music. I told you I'm a church baby. I used to go in the nursery, like during the week when my mom had meetings or my dad is ministers of music, and I'd go in the church nursery and I'd eat all the animal crackers. And I'm sure that like the nursery workers on Sunday morning were like, where'd all the snacks for the babies go? I ate them. Because I'm like, if there's food in church, like it's free food, right? Like it's manna, like God provided that. I'm a church baby. I grew up singing songs. This is old school, take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Sang all these great lyrics, like, do what you want to, take my life, use it, consume me up with fire, Lord. But not the really hot kind, but consume me up with fire. And I think sometimes God's going, do you really want me to use you that way? do you really want me to do what I want to do, or is it just within my borders? God, this is my safe zone. Use me within this border. About 12 years ago, when we lived at the end of Louetta on Finchbrook Drive, I will find out the name of our neighborhood because I know the names of neighborhoods are very important here. And I don't even remember, so please love me and forgive me. And as I'm eating my Shipley's donut, my bullseye Shipley's donut tonight, I'll probably remember where we lived. But it was in that house here in Houston where my husband Dave, who was right up here, received a call from a big denomination. And they called and said, would you two be available to lead music for a cruise that we're doing for our denomination? And, you know, there's some things that we nice Christians say, well, let me pray about that. If you get a call to lead music to go on a cruise, don't take time to pray about it. Like, that is God's will. Pray? No, like, I'm already prayed up for that one. And so they said, we would love for you to lead music on this cruise. We're done. We're there. Did you pray about it? We have prayed about that. And they said, all you need to do is make sure that you have updated passports. And so I'm kind of the paperwork person in the family, and I thought it was my job to make sure we had new passports because ours were expired. So I went out in our garage on Finchbrook Drive, and our garage at that point was kind of like a storage unit. It wasn't really for cars, it was for stuff. And so I started digging through the boxes trying to find our paperwork, and we were going to bring our sons, who were young teens at that time. We'd make it a family event. Took me a while going through the boxes to find their birth certificates. Finally did. Finally found Dave's. Could not find mine anywhere. And I'm thinking, where in the world is my birth certificate? And I knew I had to get going on this quick. So I went on a wonderful thing called the internet, and I did a thing called Google. And I found out that for $35, you put your information into the system, and within a week, you get a copy of your birth certificate, because I knew I needed to get going on this. It was a Sunday afternoon, entered my information, hit enter, and I was good to go. Monday morning, I had a message on my phone, and I listened to it. Look, you notice how I did that? Like I still have one with a cord. I don't, but I still do this. And I listened to the message, and it was a lady from Rochester, New York, where I was born, upstate New York. She said, I received your application to get your birth certificate. Either you entered your information wrong or you weren't born in Rochester. And I thought, wow, I did that quick, and both of our boys are born in May. Also, maybe I put one of their dates by accident. So I called her up, told her my situation, and I said, can you run it through your system really quick just to make sure I should be in there? I listened to Neil Sedaka for about 15 minutes. Some of you are like, who? Google it. I will show that millennial. You Google Neil Sedaka and listen to some of his music. That's what I listen to on the phone. And you over 50s are like, I know Neil Sedaka. I haven't heard about him in a long time. Listen to him on my phone. And she came back and she said, I ran it through the system. I don't have anything for you. And I thought, wow, have I put the wrong place of birth on all my paperwork for my whole life? Maybe we just lived there when I was younger, and I'm off. Like, who doesn't know where they're born? But that's okay. And I said, well, how do I find my birth certificate? She said, get in touch with the state capital, Albany. They'll have it all. So I finally, dealing with, state offices, finally got to the right office, told her my situation. She said, we can't do that over the phone. You need to send that in as a letter. And I said, well, please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please. And I begged. I said, I really want to go on this cruise. Like, God opened up this door for a cruise. We've never had that. Can you just check in your system for me? And I listened to Barry Manilow for about 10 minutes. You're like, no, I get that. I get Barry Manilow. I know that one. Little younger. If you don't know who it is, Google it. And then the lady came back on. She said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. I looked through our system. We don't have any records for you at all for the state of New York. And I thought, wow, I'm really off, or I'm really losing it early 10 years ago, that I wouldn't know my right city or the state. And I said, do I have to go to Washington, D.C. to find my birth certificate? She said, hang on just a moment. She transferred my call down to another office. A lady picked up, and I'm sure that was one of these because, it's a state capitol. They still have the old-fashioned phones. And she said, "Adoption Registry Office, how may I help you?" And I thought, wow, my phone really got lost. My call got lost in this whole transfer. And I said, "Oh, I don't know why they transferred me down to your office. I think it's wrong. I'm just trying to get a copy of my birth certificate. I was born in Rochester, New York." And she said, "Who transferred your call down to my office?" And I said, "Health records, I don't know her name. I listened to Barry Manilow," and that didn't help. And she said, "Well, no one's ever supposed to transfer a call down to this office," and she hung up. Ooh, you are a good, I like you guys. Unexpected. So I called Dave up. I said, "Oh my gosh, you are not going to believe this call I just had." First of all, I don't think I was born in Rochester. Second of all, I don't even know if it's New York. Third of all, they sent my call to an adoption registry office. And he said, "There's no way." And I said, "I know, right? There's no way, but this is weird." And he said, "You look exactly like your mom. You're the spitting image of her." I'm like, "I know, I am." And he said, my brother Glenn, who's 3 years older, he is so your dad." I said, "I know." "Oh, you don't think." He said, "There's no way." I couldn't even say the word adopted. I said, "There's no way." So I called my parents up. I thought, please help me with the right city and state. Left a message. They still have the answering machines. And I love my mom, but she still leaves. Do you remember when you'd record the message and sometimes you put music in the background? Do you remember those days? She still does that. She still has that machine. It still works. So thank you for calling. Hope you are having a wonderful time in this summer. And the whole thing with music. And I'm just like, we need to get to this message quick. So I left a message. I said, "Please help me. Please tell me, was I born in Rochester and was it New York?" Because I got in touch with the state capitol and they have nothing. No answer back from them for about a week. And I thought, well, did you guys go on a cruise and not tell me? Like, where are you? God led me on a brand new, unexpected journey from that first call, just trying to get a copy of my birth certificate. Everything that I had in conversation with my parents, "You're our child, you're our kid, don't worry about a thing. We'll send you your original birth certificate that you had us keep when you got married." I don't remember doing that, but okay. They sent me this original birth certificate, and I opened up, and it's just a little half form that says, "This is to certify that my name, born May 18, 1966, in Rochester." All was good, right? Took it to the passport office. It worked. The passports were getting going and printed up. But there was something inside of me. Sometimes God doesn't yell at you. I've never heard him yell. And we also think about what his voice would be like. We think it's deep. Can you imagine we get to heaven, he's like, "Hello, I'm God." And we're like, "That's your voice? I thought it was like deep and rich." But I've never heard a voice speak to me, but I've had maybe Holy Spirit whisperings in my life. And the whisperings that I heard were the words, "Find out more." Find out more. Questioned my parents again. I even said the words, "Is there anything you might need to tell me about Rochester, New York, and New York?" "Nope, you're our child. You're our kid. Why are you so concerned about this?" And I said, "Because the form that you sent me, it should have said certificate of live birth, and this is a different form. I'm not really sure what it was." And they said, "That's just what they handed out in New York back in 1966. Find out more." I kept hearing that. And everything that my parents were telling me made sense for the first 41 years of my life, but they didn't make sense for the last few weeks. What was off? Something was off. So I got back in touch with this adoption registry office. I wrote an email because I didn't want the lady to get mad at me that I called her and hang up on me again. So I wrote in an email. I said, "This might be the craziest thing you've ever heard. I'm a 41-year-old woman. I don't know if I'm adopted or not. How would a person go about perhaps finding out if they are adopted or not? And the email back said, fill out these forms, send them in to us, and we'll get back in touch with you. The forms had information like what hospital were you born in. That wasn't on my sheet. And do you know your birth mother's name? Birth mother, I don't even think I am, but there's a weird little find out more phrase that keeps going on in my head. And I filled out this information. I hardly had any information out of 5 pages, sent it back to the adoption registry office. A few weeks after that, I received a letter from them, a formal letter. And it said, Mrs. Hart, just to let you know that we have accepted your application into the adoption registry. As soon as we have information for you, we'll get that to you. Please know it could take 6 to 12 months or longer. Oh, I sat and read that, and I reread that. And in my mind, it said, Mrs. Hart, you're adopted. And Dave said, what if it just means that they've accepted your application? Now they're going to go through all the file bins up in the rafters from the 1960s to see if there's an adoption file. Am I? Am I not? Surely I'm not. Do you know how some kids tease their siblings and say, you know, mom and dad adopted you? Mom's not your real mom. No, that's not true. Yes, it is. You look in the mirror, you look different. Some of you have done that to your sibling, and some of you need to come up here after and repent for all that. My brother and I never did that because it was so obvious that we were theirs. Find out more. So I received that letter in September, 10 years ago. I went September, October, November. My parents came for a whole week in November, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to tell me every day. I woke up, they're going to tell me. Nothing. December, January of that year. Finally, January came, and I thought, this is crazy. I need to know adopted or not adopted. Life as it's always been, or oh my goodness, what do I do with that? And there are times at night when this all gets washed off and goes down the drain, and if you have the right kind of lighting in your bathroom, which is usually up high, and if you put your face at the right level and your eyes look in the mirror, you see your mom. Have you ever done that? I mean, I need to dip down, and I don't want to do it because this is on camera, and the jowls are going to show. What are jowls? Oh, you just wait, young one. Just wait. Google it, but look at some of us. So if your face goes down, the jowls hang. Not that my mom is a big jowled woman, but, and I look in the mirror, I'm like, I am exactly her. And some of you can look at your hands and like, oh, my mom, I have my mom's hands. And, oh, I'm in the South, I can use this. Bless your heart, some of you have your daddy's hands. Bless your hearts, like they're my dad's hands. You know what? Your resurrected body, maybe you'll go back to having your mom's hands. And that might be a good thing to look forward to. And I look, and I think my mannerisms are my mom. There's no way. And then I look again, not that I was looking a lot, but it was the jowled look. And I thought, but what if? What if there's another woman out there that I look more like? What if I am the dog in the owners and dog pictures? Have you seen those where they resemble each other? I'm the dog down here, and after so many years, sorry camera people, I just start resembling my mom, and I start looking like her and acting like her, but what if I'm really not like her? And then Dave, is he in here? He might be in the back room, and no, you are back there. Dave, my sweet, sweet, darling husband said, could you imagine if the freak circus came through town and like the fat lady had a baby and it's you? Can you imagine you were like Moses in a basket and they like ding-dong ditched like the orphanage and ran off, and that's me? And I started thinking, well, what if I am the bearded lady, fat lady's daughter? That would explain a lot. Explain a lot? Ooh, you just wait, ladies. You just wait till menopause hits. It all changes, goes right down. The what ifs were rolling through my mind. Finally, in January, I wrote a little handwritten letter to this adoption registry office. I said, I'm the one probably you all had a good laugh about, that wrote in wondering if I'm adopted or not. I don't want to bother you or bug you, but I'm not sure what your letter meant. Does it mean that I was adopted or does it mean that I was not adopted? Can you please clarify that for me? A few weeks later, I got a letter. Dear Mrs. Hart, this is to verify that you were indeed born and adopted in Rochester, New York. As soon as we have information for you, know that it would be non-identifying information. We'll send that to you. It could take 12 months or longer. You want to talk about unexpected? I was 41 years old. I was a grown woman with teenage boys in a marriage for a long time. What do you mean I'm not who I am? Where in the world did this come from? Who did this come from? Who are my people? And it's not that I didn't know who I was. By 41, I kind of knew who I was identity-wise, but all of a sudden, I didn't have any backstory. Was it the Freak Circus? Was it a Broadway star in New York City that had one oops night, went upstate and had me? Perhaps. Was I Rachel Ray's sister? Because at that time I would watch her and she used her hands a lot and I used my hands a lot. And then I'm thinking, we're going to have a cooking show together. The long lost sibling sister, not that I look like her, but we could have had different fathers, right? But like, could that be someone that I look like and I am? Have you ever had someone come up to you and say, I know you, do you have a sister? I've had people do that to me in my life, and I thought, could you imagine I did have those sisters, but I didn't know to look because I didn't know that I was adopted? What nationality am I? Not that that's so important, but all of a sudden, the backstory, the slate was kind of blank. So I started searching and searching and putting all my information into the computer that I could. And I put May 18, 1966, birth daughter searching for birth mother, 1966, Rochester, New York. Everything that I could think of to Google, I put in. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Finally, I found this group in Yahoo as a chat group. This one I did jump into. Some I know are sketchy, I know. And this was a group of people that were adopted in New York in the 1960s. So I put a little bit of my story in there. I said, I don't know who I am. I know who my parents were. I think I was born and adopted in Rochester, New York. And someone got on there and said, do you know the adoption agency? I said, I have no idea. And this gentleman said, here are the 3 that in 1966 adopted out. Get in touch with them. I did. One took Hillside Children's Home. Got in touch with her and I said, I think I'm adopted from you. She said, yes, we have records for you. Fill out this paperwork, send $75 and done, and we'll get information for you. I kept looking at these people on this Yahoo chat group of adoptees, and 2 girls posted, I've been searching for 20 and 25 years for my birth mother. Finally, this company helped me find her. And I'm looking through all their pictures and reading their story, and I thought, I don't have information, but let me get in touch with this company. Got in touch with them. They said, you don't have to pay a penny until we find your birth mother, if we do. They said, we just want you to know that New York is a very tightly sealed state, that sometimes we can never get the records because they're literally glued. They glue your birth records. And I said, that's fine. And they said, we will search for you. Don't pay a penny. We'll search for you. And I thought, I have 12 months, if not more, just to kind of relax. Someone else is doing the searching for me. 23 hours later, I got a call from the company, and they said, Mrs. Hart, we've solved your case. And I said, it was that easy? I'm thinking, I'm paying you that much? Like, that was quick. And they said, it wasn't that easy, but we found her. It looks like she's living in Atlanta, Georgia. And you might have 2 younger brothers. all of a sudden, the backstory, the blank slate, was starting to come together. I had information. I had information about grandparents and aunts and an uncle and addresses and phone numbers. There isn't a class in college that prepares you of what to do when you get your birth mother information. So I looked at the address and the phone number. Address and phone number. Well, I could write to her, but what if this isn't really her right current address, and it could take a long time? What if she reads it, rips it up? What if someone else reads it, rips it up? And then I looked at that phone number. Do I? It was about 9 o'clock Houston time. I plugged in my cell phone because I thought in the middle of a conversation, I think you're my birth ma, and my phone goes dead. Mother would be the full of what I would have said. Plugged it in, dialed the number. A man answered the phone. And he said, hello. I said, hello. You know how did your parents ever teach you the proper etiquette and way to talk on the phone? Hello. Well, nice to see you. Like, we never talk like that in person, but it's phone etiquette. So I said, and she won't mind me using her name. I said, may I ask, is Sue Larson there? He said, may I ask who's calling? And I thought, well, may I ask? We're being so formal here. Well, are you my dad? And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with the mom. So I said, this is Kirsten Hart from Houston, Texas. And I heard him walk. And I heard, and then I heard walking. And then I heard a voice say, hello? And I said, hello, is this Sue Larson? She said, yes. And I said, may I ask, and I was looking at my paperwork, did you attend the University of Rochester in 1963? She said, yes. And I thought, she's going to think I'm calling from the Alumni Foundation for money. And I said, I'm not calling from the university. I just wanted to confirm that's you. And I said, may I ask another question? Does the date May 18, 1966 have any meaning or significance to you? She said, yes. And I let her know that I had just gone through a process with a company, and I said, they gave me your name and address and phone number. I don't even know if you're the right person. I hope I'm not disturbing you. And she said, what color eyes do you have? And I said, gray blue. And she said, mine are too. Then she said, what color is your hair? L'Oreal chocolate brown. Do I lie to my birth mother? And I said, well, my natural color is auburn. And she said, mine is too. And we started a conversation that I never dreamed would be part of my life. And we started a conversation of me saying, well, I just want you to know I don't want to disturb your life. And out of my mouth came the words, I am happy, I'm not on drugs, and I'm not living under a bridge. What came out of my mouth? And I thought, she's going to hang up right there and go, wrong number. You don't know what to say, and you don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. And we had an hour-long conversation that at the end I really did say, I don't want to disturb your life. I don't want to intrude somewhere where I'm not welcome. But I just wanted you to know that I'm alive, and I have had a great life. And she said to me, I just want you to know I have thought about you every day for 41 years, wondering where you were. She said, if I can just tell you this, when you were born, it's not that I didn't want you, I couldn't keep you. My parents would never let me keep you. And she said, when I gave birth to you, they knocked me out. I hope they didn't hit her on the head, but they knocked her out so she was asleep. She said, and I woke up and you were gone. Because I wasn't supposed to bond with you or hold you. That wasn't even allowed. But in the middle of the night, a nurse came in and looked at me and said, shh, come with me. And she took me into the nursery. And for 5 minutes, I held you. and I had to put you back in. And since that day, I wondered, where is my baby girl? She later told me that it felt like for 41 years she was wandering through the woods with a heavy backpack on. And the day that I called her, she said, it's as if my backpack fell off and I walked out of the woods. A few days later, I got the write-up from the adoption agency, and I thought, this is interesting because I kind of already know who she is. Ooh, but to get the scoop from 1965, very interesting. And as I'm reading this report that was written by a social worker in 1965 who mentioned how good-looking my maternal grandfather was, and I just want to go back in time and say, pipe down, little social worker. Don't be writing about how good-looking he is. That's my grandfather. I'm thankful he was good-looking, but really, did you need to write about that? It was fascinating to read all of this information. And I got to a sentence that I knew was the reason months earlier I heard that spirit whispering, find out more. Because God wanted to reveal something unexpected to me. It was known to God. God knew. I didn't know. And it was in a sentence in this piece of paper that I'm reading. And it said, in the fall of 1965, your birth mother and her mother, my grandma, had all the funds needed and all the right connections and took a trip to Sweden to obtain an abortion. The next sentence said, after being in Sweden for 4 weeks, they weren't able to find anyone to perform the abortion, and they came back to the United States. Really unexpected. I had no idea. I had no idea that in 1965, God looked in my birth mother's womb as she was traveling from Rochester, New York to the country of Sweden, where at that time it was illegal to abort babies. And if you had a little money, that's where you'd be shipped off to. I had no idea, completely unexpected, that my life should have ended up, forgive me, in a dumpster in the back of an abortion clinic in Sweden in October 1965. But God saw this life. And He knew, as Psalm 139 says, He knew every day of my life. It's in some book somewhere. And He said, this one is mine. I'm going to unexpectedly change up her life when she's 41 years old, but she needs to know how close her life was to not being even born. I shouldn't be here. I found this out unexpectedly through a series of really odd events 10 years ago. But God said, I have plans for you. I'm going to slowly develop you into being a speaker. This wasn't who I am, or was. Because I need you to share your story. And there are lives that have been saved because of my unexpected, strange story. I don't know what's coming up in your life. I don't know if you might go home this afternoon and look at your birth certificate and go, okay, I have a half sheet too. This is weird. I don't know if you're going to call a sibling and say, did you know something when you used to tell me that I was adopted? Do you know something? I don't know what next week holds for you. But I do know that God desires to give you a brand new story. Unexpectedly sometimes, so that you can show others who He is, so that God can speak through your strange circumstances, so that when your house is completely destroyed, you can meet someone that's coming in to help fix up and repair your home, that person doesn't know about the Lord, and because of being around you and unmudding, right? Is that the term? Unmudding your house. They might come mudding out. Because of mudding out, there might be someone that walked into your home that needed to know the love of Jesus, and you're thinking, why did my house get destroyed? Who finds out when they're 41 that they're adopted? This is cuckoo world. But God's going, no. Nothing's unexpected to me. I have plans because of your story, and God has plans because of your story. Unexpected, yes. But don't be afraid. What was that line again? Oh, that's good. Lord, and we sang it, do what you want to do. And he did with me. You sang it too. Lord, do what you want to do. Really? Do you really mean it? It might change up your world. Your identity might change. The look of your home might change. It's not unexpected to him. His ways are higher than our ways. His mind is higher and better than we can ever imagine. Lord, do what you want to do in my life.